What's going on, you guys? Jonathan Baker here. Welcome to the next episode of the vlog series. If you guys haven't seen the previous episode, you may know it is in the corner. Check that out. You can also go down in the link's description and you are good to go. So anyway, this is a different kind of video that I'm going to be talking to y'all about today. And this is about my mom. Well, anyway, my dad and mother have been married for 28 years. In 2004, my mom literally kicked out my dad out of the house. And my dad found a place to live, and he was preparing to divorce my mother. Well, anyway, as he found a place to live, he went on a dating website and found my first stepmother. Well, anyway, as my dad was preparing to get married, my mom came by the house and she got me and my brother. And my dad gave us some money to buy food and a little money for mom to buy fuel for the car. And most likely, we went to Stars to get something to eat, because that is a hamburger joint. I mean, they serve all kinds of delicious foods. And after that, we went back to the house and we got our things out of the car, and walking into that house, I felt the chilliness in the air. It was so cold, I literally saw my breath out of my mouth. It was like, it was so cold. Well, as walking outside with mom, I told her how I felt. I felt sad. I started to cry at school because I felt her pain. I felt what she was going through. It was serious. She began crying, saying that she was sorry for the way that she's acted and the way that she hurt us kids so badly. And she asked us to forgive her, and which I did, and because it was the right thing to do. And I know that it was hard for what she did and stuff. Well, anyway, as she got the firewood and we went back inside the house, she was getting the fire started. And she had the two cats with her in the house. Tigger and Tukey both were there. And she had the pull-out bed with the sheets and the blankets. Well, she only had at least 2 big blankets, and most likely it kept me and my brother warm that night. It was literally freezing cold. It felt like I was literally in a freezer with my brother and my mother. And most likely, after we were going to sleep that night, I was shivering. I was so cold. I felt like I was going to catch hypothermia and also go into shock. Well, anyway, As slowly drifting off to sleep, I pulled the covers over my head, and I was attracting my body heat. And after that, I continued to shiver. There was no doubt about it. I was shivering. My hair literally standed straight up. It was like this. It was like a fingers. And holy guacamole, it was cold. It felt like, she didn't pay the bills. The IRS gave her a foreclosure. The bank was preparing to take the house away. And most likely, she only had a few more days to live in that house. Well, waking up the next day, the fire was already out, and it was still freezing cold. We couldn't even get up out of bed just to put my clothes on, because it was so cold. But I literally forced myself getting up that morning. Well, anyway, I don't know what happened next, but I knew all of us got up, and most likely she had running water. And well, we didn't take a shower because it was so cold, because we were not going to take a chance of getting hypothermia because it was so cold. And most likely the water heater was out, because I think in a water heater you do need electricity for it to work. And well, most likely she let us go outside, and we were laying in the hammock, and we were petting the cats. Well, as Saturday night came, she cleaned out the fireplace, and most likely she got more firewood, and well, she got another fire going, and most likely we began to get ready to go to bed that night. And anyway, it was literally still freezing cold. I just didn't understand why she couldn't pay no bills. Because she had no job, she had little money, and most likely she was always getting fired from the jobs that she got. And most likely, how she was getting fired from these jobs, she actually started being a smart aleck to all managers. And managers don't put up with that these days. They don't put up with anything like that. So she literally just lost her way. Well, after that, we woke up on Sunday morning, and it was the last day for us to spend with her on the weekend. Well, as we were getting ready to go back with our dad, she was preparing to leave. And the house only had 5 days left before the bank was going to take the key, and it was completely foreclosed on, and most likely it was going to go on the markets. Well, anyway, after Sunday afternoon, my dad came back and got us, or I think my mom took us back home that day. I'm not really sure, because I don't remember much of my past. But anyway, I think my mom took us back home, straight back to my dad's, and she literally left us there. She didn't want to talk to Dad. My dad didn't want to talk to her. And most likely, she went on her own way afterwards. And anyway, well, my dad and my first stepmother, they were talking. And most likely, we were planning to move to Midland that day. And most likely, I was still in elementary school, and my brother was in junior high. And most likely, my birthday was only a few days away. Well, she came up to the school where I was at, and she pulled me out of class. Well, we sat down on the swings, and she said, "This might be my last time that I get to see you and your brother." And I literally had tears coming out of my eyes. Like, I don't know why. But I was heartbroken for her, and most likely she just had to go on her own way. And so anyway, she gave me this gift. And I didn't open it until I got home that one day. And well, we had the moving van already, and we were preparing to move to Midland, and I opened it. And I saw what it was. It was a toy engine that my mother gave me for my birthday. Well, anyway, as we were preparing to move, my mom was spotted down the block. She had a purple Pontiac Grand Am, and she was right down the street. I mean, I literally saw her car just sitting there. And so anyway, she was walking down the sidewalk, and my dad saw her coming. And she told us kids to get back inside the house. And I was literally right in the middle of the yard when I saw her coming. And anyway, she was angry. She was ticked off. And holy cow, I mean, it was like she was a psychopath or something. I don't know why, but she was angry as a wild bull. So anyway, my stepmother was out there, and she was cursing at my first stepmother, and she was demanding my dad for her to take us. And my dad was like, "You are under a restricted order. You can't come over here whenever you want to, because the restraining order says you are to keep 300 feet away." And that's what he said to her. Well, anyway, as she went on her way, we never saw her again after that. It was done. It was the last time. Well, getting moved to Midland, my dad and my brother and I, and my first stepmother, well, basically this was a new beginning for all of us. Even though I was thinking at work today of my own version of a real Psycho series. And most likely, this first episode in the first Psycho series, and the real one, my very own Psycho series, is Psycho Stepmother Marries My Dad. And that was the first episode that I thought of. And also all the other episodes, such as Psycho Stepmother's First Thanksgiving, Psycho Stepmother's First Christmas, Psycho Stepmother's First New Year's. And then after a lot of years, being in Midland, we had a 2-bedroom apartment where literally my brother and I had to share a bedroom. And my dad and my first stepmother, they were upstairs, and literally, me and my brother were playing lightsabers, little toy ones. And anyway, it was like, I don't know what happened after that, but I'm a little short-memoried here. I don't know way too much of my past. I remember a lot of things that happened, though, but that's a good memory to keep in store. But anyway, now as years went on, as we were getting through 2008, we see the beginning of the Clone Wars going on. And most likely, my first stepmother and dad, they were married for possibly 8.5, 9. I'm not really sure. But that's where everything takes off. Now, I really wish I could go back into time and have a camera and just record the whole thing. I mean, that would have been funny if it was a real Psycho series on YouTube, and it wouldn't feature a dad breaking his son's things. It would be more like of a stepmother who would actually knock holes in the wall and break your things. And, well, I'll tell you a little bit about that. Well, one day she was so ticked off, and holy cow, I can't even remember the last thing that she actually did, but I remember she put a big giant hole in the wall. It was just like that. It was like she literally just threw the TV, she threw the recorder, my PS2 into the wall. And after that, she was knocking everything out of the room. She was like a twister. I was like, holy cow. And most likely, my dad had her arrested. And that would be the first episode in a real Psycho series. Psycho stepmother gets arrested for the first time. And most likely she went into a San Angelo hospital. And I don't know I should be saying all this, but most likely I know my past. And so anyway, that's why me and my dad in 2010, we traveled to San Antonio, and we basically just went to Schlitterbahn in New Braunfels. We spent a whole weekend just enjoying ourselves with his coworkers. And most likely, after a while, she was released from the hospital. And we brought her home, and she was like a changed person. Well, after a couple weeks, she was back to her other self. She turned psycho again after that. And most likely I'm going to explain in the next video, because I know we're out of time, and I know talking a lot about what happened all these years ago was pretty crazy. But anyway, hey, let's catch you in the next video.